Good morning. It's Sunday, June 11th, 2023. This is the ride into work. It's Sunday. For those of you at home playing the drinking game, I don't really have any content. No, I'm kidding. You may have to drink anyway. But I was going to tell three stories, maybe an amusing anecdote. The pool is open. Part of the family was in the pool yesterday, so it's a little over 70 degrees. It's still chilly. I didn't get in the pool, but someone else did. So it's clean, it's open, the chemicals are balanced. If any of my friends watching this, the pool's open for the season. So, let's see, there was three stories. It was coffee, Scuttlebitch, and the wicker chair. Those are the three stories. I don't know if I'm going to remember all three of them by the end. The first one is coffee. I was making myself some coffee this morning, and it seems stupid that I'm drinking coffee out of a regular mug because I think I spilled it already just pulling out of my driveway. But it's Sunday, so I have to be in work early. So this is 2-day-old coffee that was still in the coffee pot. I nuked it. I could have avoided this by nuking it, pouring it into a travel mug, and just throwing this mug in my lunch bag. The reason I need a mug or a bowl is in case I want to have some oatmeal when I get to work. I carry a jar of oatmeal in my... I'm old and boring. I carry a jar of oatmeal in my lunch bag so I can make myself some gruel for breakfast if I want it. The coffee story. So, I don't know if I ever related this story in this format before, but many, many moons ago, I used to take in strays all the time. Stray people. And there's a much larger story that goes with this, which would add more color and flavor to the actual punchline. But there was a fella living with us. Not essentially. He was living with us rent-free for a long time. And he made coffee, and one of me and my wife drink our coffee black. I got her into that habit. Like, she absorbs a lot of my habits. She didn't like red wine until she met me. She didn't like scotch before she met me. Slowly turning her into me because I'm an incredible narcissist. So anyway, this fella's living with us, and he does have a job. He's not paying rent, but he has a job, and he's in the kitchen one day, and we're talking, and I think he may be getting ready for work, and he makes this comment. Oh, by the way, like, the amount of sugar he uses is ridiculous. So when I would go to do the dishes, there would be, in the bottom of his coffee mugs, there would be like these pucks of sugar which had condensed. Like, he always puts more sugar into his coffee than it can absorb. Like, it oversaturates, and it crystallizes at the bottom of the cup into this like 1/4-inch puck of sugar. So anyway, one day he's making his coffee for work, and he makes this comment that it's so much cheaper to make coffee at home than it is to buy it on the road, which was funny because he wasn't paying rent, he wasn't paying for any of the groceries. So yes, for him, it's free at home. So that was a great moment in sports there. Me and my wife just laughed, like literally laughed in his face when he said that, because it was funny. So the other two stories, so this one's a little more, man, I'm hot. It's only 55 degrees. Why is it so hot in here? Give me a moment to swap out the air. I wasn't feeling well yesterday, and some of it's trailed over to today, like night sweats. Now I've got the very early morning sweats. So anyway, Scuttlebitch and wicker chair. I'll start with wicker chair. So, because that's got some other amusing stories. Maybe I'll tell later about how we acquired every episode of Star Trek. So me and my wife were watching. It starts with a B. Binge watching. We're binge watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. when Star Trek: The Next Generation first came out, I thought it was an amazing show. Not that it was well written or anything like that. It was just, for the most part, the production quality, it just felt like you were watching a mini movie compared to the other stuff that was on TV at the time. So anyway, one day, back at our old house, important to the story, back at our old house, we were binge watching Star Trek: The Next Generation, and we finally decide, it's time to go to bed or do something else, peel ourselves off of whatever furniture we're on, because we've been watching it for, I don't know, a couple thousand years. So we turn the TV off at the end of the episode, and all of a sudden we hear a noise, and we turn, and we have one of those weird wicker chairs. It's like the bottom of it looks a little bit like an hourglass, and then it has this wraparound back that like kind of wraps around like right at your waist, but then it becomes this big oval thing behind you. So it's like this oversized wicker chair. I don't know whatever happened to that. I wonder if we got rid of it. Anyway, as soon as we turned the TV off, we heard this noise, like kind of a creak noise. So we looked in the direction of the noise, and it was the wicker chair, and it literally shifted back and forth and stopped. Like, it literally looked and sounded like somebody had gotten up out of the chair. The show was over. They were done watching. They got up to walk away. It was the weirdest thing. It was really, really, really interesting. So before we go into the next story, my old handle on D-Dial and the BBSs was Zonerep, which is paradox backwards. And it kind of describes a lot of aspects of my life. I don't, like I'll say I'm a witch, but I don't believe in the paranormal. And obviously I have a few very specific incidences that really seem like they can't be explained without the paranormal. I know heat expansion, breezes, things like that. It's very possible to write off the wicker chair moving thing. But there are lots and lots of other shared experiences that me and my friends have had in that house. So that being said, the next interesting thing that happened in my previous residence was a little entity we lovingly refer to as Scuttlebitch. I had a job for a few years working, I want to say working nights, but it was like a 24-hour job. I worked in distribution for a periodical and mail distribution company, which is a very cutthroat business, so the margins are thin. It's everyone's always stressed out. Because I had to work very, very strange hours, I needed a place in the house that when I came home I could just crash. So I created a blackout room in the basement. I put very heavy curtains over the windows. At the time it was like a partially, like, you can call it a finished basement pretty much. So I created a bedroom down there for myself with a waterbed because, I'm 12. So I had a waterbed and blackout curtains so that when I came home from work, I could go right down there and just go right to sleep, whether it was daytime, nighttime. Anyway, as the story goes, I kept, and again, these initial incidents that I'm going to describe can be written off to sleep paralysis and things like that. But very often, when I was sleeping down in the basement, I would experience, let's call it sleep paralysis. But what it was to me was some kind of creepy demon woman sitting on my chest, sucking my life essence away, like I was completely paralyzed. I would try to scream, nothing would come out, and this not only happened in the blackout room, but this would occasionally happen in the bedroom, and like the upstairs bedroom, where like this thing would sit on my chest and just kind of be on me, and I couldn't breathe, couldn't scream, couldn't do anything. That was kind of scary. And then there was this one time at band camp, I was upstairs in the upstairs bedroom. My wife was in bed, and I'm walking across the floor, and this thing just, again, it was Scuttlebitch. It was, like a creepy swamp woman thing, comes just scuttling across the floor at me, and I just, I kind of fall backwards towards the door and hit the light on, like, at the last possible second. Again, this is all completely write-offable to shadows. It was dark, I was in a dreamy state, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, that's the way the story goes. So it comes across, I fall backwards towards the door, hit the light switch, just screaming. My wife wakes up, and somehow I had the forethought, like, it's the middle of the night, and I don't want to freaking have her up and, like, all nervous all night long. So she's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I thought I saw a dog. She's like, what? I was like, I just nothing. I thought I saw a dog. And eventually I told her, I think the next morning. So that was a very quick rundown. Three stories: coffee, wicker chair, and Scuttlebitch. Here's a cute cat story that happened in the same room. We used to have a cat named Sorsha. She was a black and white, cute little fluff ball. She was a cute big fluff ball. She was a very large cat, actually. She was surprisingly large. There's a picture of her somewhere. Me holding her over my shoulder. I guess because of her coloring, she's deceptively small looking, but she was a very large cat. Anyway. Has nothing to do with the story, so maybe it does, gravity and all. So one day we had a hamper next to our bed, next to the nightstand, next to the bed on my wife's side. And isn't it weird that you have a side of the bed? Anyway, there was a hamper, and one day the Sorsha was walking across the nightstand, and then she went to walk on the hamper, and she just fell right into the hamper, but not gracefully. She fell, flipped around, grabbed the nightstand doily, and just proceeded to pull the alarm clock, the lamp, any mugs that were on the table, like, on top of her. It's a horrible, horrible story, but we couldn't stop laughing. She was traumatized. It was very, very funny. Well, you had to be there to just see it happen. She wasn't hurt, by the way. No cats were harmed during the telling of this story. It's much earlier today than it normally is when I get on the road. Because it's Sunday, the day starts earlier, it ends earlier. It's a shorter day, but still don't like it. Don't like working overtime or extra hours, or depends on whether I'm hourly or salary at the time. But either way, I don't like it. Just a long, dramatic pause here while I try to think of another interesting story. Well, not really dramatic pause, just a pause. I think the person that I mentioned in Friday morning's video, I did make an afternoon video, and I did what I have been doing with the afternoon videos. I bailed on it. I got about 13 minutes in, I think, and I just, it really wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't happy with pushing out there. I mean, I know a lot of my initial videos were like 90 minutes of nothing, but I'm kind of done with that. I can't. I guess it's just a self-preservation. Like, what if someday I get captured by someone and I'm forced to watch all my videos? I don't know if I could make it. Like, 90 minutes after 90 minutes of me just driving, I think would be enough to drive anyone insane if there's no real content. So when they, I hope I don't bail on this one. I'm going to try to push it to the 22-minute mark, but as you can see, I'm kind of fumbling for content right now, as I am very, very tired. It's currently like 4:30 in the morning. I've been up since 2:30, 3 o'clock, something like that, to get ready for my exciting day reducing friction. That's what I do for a living, I reduce friction. I think that counts as talking about work, so you have to drink. I actually do want to make a, like, if nothing else, should be able to make a game out of this. So the rules, I think I started talking about them yesterday, is like, if I say I have no content, in the context of actually talking about it, not me explaining the rules to the game, but it's completely up to you. If you want to just drink because I said the words no content, as opposed to like actually expressing that there's no content, like right there. If you're a purist and you just keep doing that, oh my God, you'll be dead by the end of this video. So anyway, that one. If I talk about work, what was the third one? Content. If I talk about work. Oh, mentioning 22 minutes. There were the three things that I came up with so far. So any of those things are mentioned, you have to drink. If you're playing the Chris's boring video drinking game thing, put in the comments other things that you notice that I repeat. Like if I say a lot, like I catch myself saying but you're blind to it. You don't realize you say Also, I think another thing I tend to do a lot is not clear my throat before I start the video. So if I cough at the beginning of a video, within the first sentence, like before or during the first sentence or just after the first sentence, I think that counts. And that gets the game started off with a bang. Just get a little ramekin or something like that to keep in my bag instead of always having to bring a mug for my oatmeal. We just have to fill 5 more minutes, guys. Throw some suggestions at me. I know you're in the future watching this, so you're going to have to be telepathic and project your thoughts back in time to this moment. I'm not getting anything, guys. You're just a bunch of lazy. Anyway. No, I haven't. Another thing I've been promising you guys, and I haven't brushed up on it yet. It's really impressive when I do it, but I will. I promise I will start brushing up on it. It'll take me, like I've got, like everybody else on the planet, I've got minor ADHD. There's like, I will hyper focus on something until I nail it. But unlike riding a bicycle, there are some skills that you just do not retain unless you practice them. Like I used to do a bunch of like mental acrobatic stuff. Like the one card trick I keep promising to show you guys is the memorizing a deck of 52 cards forwards and backwards. Now I think I might have 2 viewers. There's obviously my original viewer, who most of these videos are directed at, and then there's there's now a secondary viewer. Like I think I have 4 subscribers to this channel, which is phenomenal. It's like a 400% increase over what it was a little while ago. I mean, just stratospherical numbers. Anyway, she was, I think she was present when I did this before, and it's just a party trick. It's not, it's real. There is a very simple way to memorize a deck of cards forwards and backwards very quickly, but there's a secondary skill you have to practice first. So I don't want to explain what it is until I do the trick, and then I'll tell all of you how to do it. What other things are pending? The party room, there's been slow progress on that. Like that has literally been a project for years. I tore it apart a while ago, and like I tore the ceiling down. I explained in a previous video all that. So this week, what we're going to do is I have been slowly insulating and drywalling. I've made it around one wall. My intention last week the week before last, because now it's Sunday, while I was gone, was to finish the street-facing wall, get that all insulated, sheetrocked, and possibly even spackled and sanded. That didn't happen. It's not going to happen during the week. I'm just not going to do it. But I do have the 4th of July week off, and that is really a high priority for me. I want to get that done. The main reason is the room has a unique aesthetic, because it used to have, I'm going to go over the 22 minutes, it's 20 and a half now. It has a unique aesthetic. It used to have these 9 to 10 inch acoustic tiles stapled to the ceiling, and in order to do that, they had to level the ceiling. So there's this cross pattern of, like, there's the actual thick, heavy joists, but underneath that, there's also the pattern of, like, wood that they cross-hatched wood that they laid to level the ceiling and to staple the things to. I kind of like the look, but it's also kind of, there's pipes and wires and things like that. It just, like, if it was just wood, if there wasn't so much mechanical up there, I would hide it. I can't sheetrock the ceiling because there's two bathrooms up there, and I just need access to the pipes. So I'm not a big fan of drop ceilings because they always look like you're trying to hide a bunch of sins up above it. And in this case, I am. It's just the sin that it's ugly up there. It's not, cracked plaster or water stains or anything like that. It's just the fact that all the mechanicals are up there, and it's just, I can't. It's just not the right house to do that kind of thing in. Like, if it was more of a barny structure or an old house like that, I think I could wrap my head around having all that exposed mechanicals, but not here. So anyway, that's my plan. In 3-ish weeks, I'm going to finish off the walls so I can get the drop ceiling system started. Anyway, the point I was going to make is that in the meantime, we've got the room is basically broken into 4 segments. There's the bar area, there's the pool table area, which has a desk, which I want to get rid of. It's a functional computer area. It's got our old laptop there, mostly used for looking up Lego parts. Then there's the Lego quadrant of the room, which is a new addition. My wife recently went insane and got into a serious Lego addiction. And then there's Cassie's corner of the room, which is also Legos and playthings. But I think that has to be reorganized because it has a lot of her toys from when she was younger that she really doesn't play with. So we have to rethink that corner of the room. And unfortunately, I think I was the dumbass who decided that the kitty litter should go in between those 2 sections, and it's just a bad choice. The flow of the room is terrible right now, and that's my fault entirely. Again, still not the point I'm trying to make, is what we're going to do probably later today when I get done work. Originally, I was going to hang a mailbox at one of my rental properties, but the drill that I was going to take with me today, the battery doesn't have the power to do it, so I'm probably just going to do that tomorrow after work. Find a different battery or a different drill. I used to have an inverter and I could have used my car for power, but anyway, different story. Back to what I'm trying to say about the room. Later today, or my wife may do this while I'm at work, we're going to get a curtain. It's kind of the same thing we did outside recently with the cabana area where we hung this long curtain. We're going to separate the room into halves. Cassie's play area and the Lego quadrant are going to be hidden when you walk into the room because they're perpetually messy. Just the nature of what's currently going on. It's like she has a cottage industry, but she doesn't really sell it. Like, we've kind of like what I used to do with BBSs and D-dials. I would go around the scour the planet for all this hardware and software and just start buying them up. I'm the worst person that ever lived. I bought up thousands and thousands of dollars worth of BBSs, D-dial equipment, things over the years, and then one day I had a mental snap and I thought I had to declutter, and I threw it all away. All the discs, all the hardware, just right in the trash. Just saying this on if someone sees this on the internet, I'm probably going to have people show up at my house with pitchforks and torches, like, you threw out history. Yeah, I did. That was me. Bought them all up, threw them all away. So somewhere in a, whatever you call that, pile of dirt, wherever they bury things that's trash. Trash heap? Sometimes words elude me. Like, you know, when they found all those ET cartridges, they found them in a, I don't know, wherever you take trash. Hole, something pile. Doesn't matter. What was I on about? Cottage industry, Legos, not selling anything. Huge collection of Legos. My wife has made some really impressive things. Like you gotta see it. She's got to start her own channel. It's crazy the amount of things she's built. Like in the scale, like the things that Lego puts out now are just phenomenal. And my wife throws them together. And like I said, we buy up collections. And some of the ways they find to articulate these Lego sculptures is just phenomenal. Anyway, the point is, we're going to hang a curtain across the party room. The room itself is a bit on the ridiculous side. It's about 1,000 square feet. So we're going to section off the Cassie and Lego area with a curtain. Just because, like I said, the nature of what those areas are, they tend to be eyesores. Even when they're organized, it's a bunch of shelves and totes and drawers and things like that. So it's I believe that's the plan for today when we get home. Do I have any other ghost stories? No, but here's a little blast from the past. I used to have a friend many years ago named Jay Clark. He was this is when I was, I guess, a teenager. He was, and we all were, at least my group of friends were into it back then, interested in the occult and different phenomena, mental, paranormal, blah blah blah, mind reading, telekinesis. So we would always practice different things, practice mind reading. But one of the things, unfortunately, that can skew your results is if you're too familiar with people. Like you can often read someone's mind just by looking at their face. If you're very familiar with someone, their facial expressions will almost tell you exactly what they're thinking. So unfortunately, the tighter knit the group is, the easier it is to accidentally fake paranormal phenomena, reading each other's minds or figuring out what they wrote on a card. But all that aside, we used to do all kinds of interesting tests and things like that. And, we would listen to radio static and listen for, without using the tape recorder, try to listen for that. Like your brain just does that. Your brain looks for patterns. So, if you're listening to static, you'll start to hear music of different types depending on what your particular makeup is. I often hear opera or classical music when I'm just listening to static. My brain just finds something to latch onto and just creates this music. And the same thing when you stare into the pattern of a TV. Like back old TVs, you've got just the regular black and white gray static that's associated with the white noise. One of the things you might not know is on those old CRT monitors, like 10% of the static you're seeing is actually background radiation, non-ionizing background radiation from space and the Big Bang and stuff like that. Just an interesting fact, has nothing to do with the story. But I as a lonely child, I would spend hours staring at the static using my brain, and you do it long enough, your just imagination starts to create patterns. Like you forget that you're watching static, it turns into an actual TV show. Nobody has the patience for that kind of stuff anymore, so nobody will ever know what I'm talking about. They're just going to think I'm crazy. Anyway, the point of the story is, I also had a video camera back then, so I played a prank. I don't know how many people I pulled it off on. I know Jay was one of the people that fell for it. And this was great because at the time we were like, hot and heavy into the paranormal, reading minds, finding patterns, pulling back the veil, and finding true reality. And so I made this video of the TV. So it's a video of a TV. The TV is completely in frame, not much around it. Like you can see maybe the wall a little. You can see the wall around it just a little bit, and so it's about 10 minutes of static playing on this TV, and at the time that's one of the things that we were heavily into, just trying to zone the mind out, use something like that white noise to kind of open up. You get the point. So I record 10 minutes of static, and then I believe I had the TV sitting in a recliner, and then so anyway, after 10 minutes of the TV static playing on the TV, it's just me, my face right in the camera, screaming ah, and it's like an old style jump scare, and he was pissed. It scared the crap out of him. It was fantastic. Best thing ever. I don't know that, like I said, I think I tried it with a couple of other people, but their reactions weren't memorable, so Jay was really the one who best reaction, like just absolute terror, like kind of flying backwards kind of stuff. Speaking of flying backwards, here's one, has no paranormal connotations whatsoever, just a study in general fear. So when I was young, I was staying at my grandmom's house, sleeping in my uncle's room. He had a really interesting room. He used to, for a while, he had a lifted bed. So I guess they called them loft beds. So the frame was way up over the ground, so he had a room underneath. So you can imagine, it's a blacklight room. It had the posters. It also had, some kind of paraphernalia, long tubes. Some of them had water in them with little bowls sticking out of them. Anyway, you get the picture. Anyway, at the time that I was sleeping there, the room wasn't like this. It was, the bed was on the floor, like a normal bed. A bug just splattered on my windshield. Right in my center view too. Gross. So anyway, my grandmom used to watch me on the weekend, so I would sleep in my uncle's room. I don't know that. I don't believe he was living there. It used to be his room at that time. Anyway, the point is, there's a bed. At the head of the bed, his headboard was a mirror. So you can see where the story's going, probably. So one day, I'm sleeping at my grandmom's house, sleeping in my uncle's bed. I wake up, and I see this face. And just, it's one of those, you wake up, you open your eyes, there's a face in your face, absolute terror, it's just my face. I woke up looking myself in the eyes, not realizing there was a mirror there. Freaked me out so bad that I scuttled. Apparently I like the word scuttle today. I shot myself backwards across the bed, off the foot of the bed, and across the floor. I shot backwards with such force, I was sliding across the floor once I left the bed. It was funny. Scared myself. If you're wondering why I keep looking over at you, it's because that's there's a little counter on the thing. We're up to 35 minutes. I usually end these at 22 minutes, but nobody watches them anyway, so there's really no harm in me continuing to go. And since it's early in the morning, talking to myself is a good way to stay alert. Well, I'm talking to you. Essentially, I'm talking to myself now. Eventually, my recorded self will be talking to you. We'll be talking to you. You'll be listening. I'm not really talking to you. I don't know. Language, right? So, my GPS is not working today for some reason. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the car or if it's the phone. Got the map going. But for some reason it's not, or at least when I was, it's not finding me. It still thinks I'm at home. Something wonky is going on with my GPS. It's not, I don't know if I got to turn my phone on and off again. It's got enough charge and it's plugged in, but for some reason it's just not connecting to the GPS. Who knows what GPS stands for? I got a pretty smart viewership. At this point, there might be 2 people that watch this video. I can't imagine either one of them would make it this far into it, the 36-minute mark. I am 65 miles away from having 60,000 miles on this thing. I just got so this is a 5-year-old car. I got it used. It didn't really have that many miles on it. Whoa! Holy crap, I'm blind. Some kind of white sports car just drove by with a light bar across the bottom of the front bumper. It was bright as all get out. So when I got it, it didn't have that many miles on it, but I tack on the miles because of my commute on a daily basis. Just going to work and back. We're talking about if I take the highways, we're talking over 150 miles. If I take, which I'm taking now, the back roads, it's less miles, but it's more time. It's like not quite half the miles. It's a little more than half the miles. I can't take the back roads the way back. I don't know how much of this you can see. Ooh, I'm going too fast. I call it the back roads, but anyway, it's single file. It's literally one lane all the way from Skull Crusher Mountain to where I work. Everybody has a red light. What did I say? Oh yeah, it's one lane. So the ride in, like, I'm alone. Even during the week, I leave early enough that there's really not much traffic on the road. Enough to be annoying, but not enough to like really slow me down. But if I've tried a couple of times to take the same route home, and it takes forever, because you've got a lot of traffic and there's a bunch of lights, so it doesn't move. It's a very, very long ride home if I try to take the back roads. So anyway, I think I was trying to get to another point. Can't remember what it was. put a lot of miles on my car. That's basically it. I get an oil change about every other week. I'm exaggerating. Feels like that. Feels that way sometimes, though. I'm hitting a lot of red lights here. You can tell it's a weekend. How? Because I generally don't wear a suit, coat, and tie on the weekends. I don't need to wear one during the week. I think I am the only guy in the building that wears a tie. I've covered that before. I often catch grief about it too, and I don't know why. I get questions like, Chris, why are you wearing a tie? To which I retort, why aren't you wearing a tie? To which they generally respond, we don't have to. Okay. Why aren't you wearing a tie, though? It was just a bird in the middle of the road that I had to steer around. Why do you... Like, do you get this too? Like, you're driving down the road, birds are constantly flying in front of the car. What is that all about? Why are they walking in the street? I apologize for the long format video. I just don't feel like stopping and starting again. I should come up with another short story because we're getting close to the end here. I generally stop the video a couple of miles before I get to work. What is that? Oh, why isn't that on our cycle inside here? Gosh darn it. Now I'm poisoned. Could, but I'm pretty sure someone might get offended, so I won't tell it. I'll tell it in private. Talk about chlorine lock. Build an interocitor. Could tell you my chili recipe. I think it's actually still online. I put it online once for someone who asked for it. It's not a fantastic chili recipe. It's just like every other guy's chili recipe. They think, yeah, this is really good chili. I used to think I made really good chili until I started improving my chili recipe. And it's like, it really depends on your particular tastes. And I think a lot of why people like their own chili recipe is because they make it. So there's like this handcrafted, take pride in your work kind of thing. So even if it tastes like garbage, you're like, well, I made this. But anyway, over the years, I've found different ways to, what I really need to do is, at this point, decrease the amount of ingredients in my chili. I think I want to move to a less bean heavy. Like now that I'm using braised steak instead of ground meat, I think I want to start reducing the amount of beans that are in the chili, just to up the up the meat ratio. There's a thing at Outback which is pretty good. It's called Tasmanian chili, and I believe that's a beanless chili, and it's pretty tasty. I get that as a side whenever I go there. So yeah, I have steak soup. That's my dinner at Outback. Get a nice frosty mug of blended up steak. If you've made it this far, 45 minutes into the video, what's wrong with you? We're getting pretty close to work. I say that, but it's a lie. We're probably still, I wish my GPS was working, we're probably still maybe a half an hour away. I'm an old guy, so I'll give you an update on the gout situation. So I had a really bad, a while ago, like a couple months ago, I had a really bad gout flare-up. It lasted for weeks. I don't know. I don't know if anyone has ever accurately described how painful gout is. It's a weird kind of pain that's very difficult to describe, because it seems to hurt on the surface, meaning that, like, if there's a strong breeze blowing across, like most people get it in the toe joint, that big joint that attaches your big toe to your foot. Most people get it there, but you can get it at any joint. It's a form of inflammatory arthritis. It's caused by uric acid crystallizing out of your system. You get a buildup of uric acid, and then it crystallizes out in the joints, creating inflammation and pain. And so a couple months ago, I had a really bad gout flare-up. It lasted weeks. It was extremely painful, as gout is. Like I said, it's impossible to describe it. A sheet can't lay on your foot. A strong breeze hurts. It's not an exaggeration. Literally, any kind of stimulation is extremely painful. So I had another flare-up last week, the end of last weekend into the beginning of the week. In fact, I had to move I generally work remotely on Wednesdays. I moved my remote day to Tuesday for that week because I literally couldn't walk. It was so painful. But I could get myself to the computer, just sit there and do whatever it is I do with a computer all day. So the point is, this one lasted much shorter. I took colchicine, which is a newer drug. I used to take something else when I had gout, or at least when I was diagnosed with gout. They gave me something. This is something newer, and it actually worked really, really well. Like as of yesterday, I don't even know what shoes I'm wearing today. Oh, those aren't my work shoes. All right, so that I can't use that as an example. I was going to say I don't even remember it hurting because even though I can now walk and things are okay, when I put on my work shoes, it was still hurting. These are just kind of really loose-fitting slip-on loafers. So these aren't the shoes I meant to wear today. Oh well. work-approved shoes. So anyway, it's very quickly got better. Like I said, the last attack lasted a really long time. This time I took colchicine. I also tried to avoid the things that aggravate gout. Because it's impossible. Everything either contains pyrines or makes your body produce pyrines or stops your body from expelling pyrines. And that's apparently what causes the gout flare-up. Your body naturally produces pyrines. There's pyrines in a bunch of... I don't know if I'm saying that word right, and if I'm saying it wrong and a lot, I'm sorry if I'm annoying you. But beer, alcohol, things like that. Beer has it. I think alcohol just stops you from expelling it. So on top of having to take this medication, I was avoiding that stuff. So most of last week, I didn't drink anything. Friday was my cheat day. I had a couple drinks on Friday, but nothing after that. Which is, it's not my natural state. I like to be marinated in preservatives. So anyway, one of the upshots of that is you start to lose weight when you're not filling your body with depressants like alcohol and empty calories and things like that. So that's a good thing, I guess, but I don't know if it's worth the trade-off. GPS is still not working. It doesn't matter. I like to have a minute-by-minute look at... Ugh! Hell, there's freaking birds everywhere. They just come flying at the car. I saw something interesting on the internet, and I started to do a little bit of research on it. I didn't know this, but after I read it, I guess I noticed it, but I didn't really pay attention to it. Apparently, lightning bugs are either decreasing and or going extinct because of various chemicals we're putting into the soils and atmosphere and stuff like that. There's been a huge decrease in the lightning bug population. Until I read that, I really hadn't been paying attention. But yeah, I don't remember seeing lightning bugs at all. And then, I started seeing people posting that on Facebook. What happened to all the lightning bugs? Blah, blah, blah. Should I make this one a nice round hour and then later on edit it down? I mean, I'm going to post it as is. Aziz, light! Don't get your hopes up for the last 7 or so minutes. I really can't think of anything to chat about that'll fit in that little bracket of time. Could you sing you the song of my people? My daughter, one time many years ago, I said to her as we were driving down the road one day, she was very young. She was very, very funny when she was young. She was very articulate and weird mind. So she's in the back seat. We're driving down the road, and I say, "Hey, Cassie, sing me the song of your people." So she just starts belting out this, I can't remember exactly how it went, but it was just la 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 la. No, la 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 la, something like that. And it went on and on and on. And the thing that was funny about it was like, well, one, this isn't funny. It was like a pretty catchy tune. Like, I don't know what the hell it was. It was something she made up on the spot. La 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 la. And it went on like that, and then it ended with zombies. That was the song of her people. La 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 for a very long time, and then zombies. So it was a great moment. So this one time we're driving down, I guess it was Harbison Avenue, and we reached, I forget what that cross street is. Like you're going down Harbison, you cross the boulevard, you keep going, and then there's another road that you take it, and once you turn, you'll end up at the Roosevelt Mall. Not the Roosevelt. Is it the Roosevelt? It might be the Roosevelt Mall. You'll pass the Roosevelt Mall if you turn there, turn left. Anyway, there's a building there, like a bank or something like that. We're sitting at the red light one day, and there's a bunch of little, we call them little dirtin' birds, because they'll often like find dry patches of dirt and just like kind of dust themselves, dust bath kind of thing. But so we've always referred to them as dirtin' birds. Anyway, there's a bunch of them sitting there, and some oftentimes birds will just move as a group. They'll all fly in formations, or they'll all hop to the side at the same time. So we're looking at these surprisingly large number of dirtin' birds playing in the dirt, and like my wife, I think, was driving. I'm at the passenger seat, and they all just move like in unison. They jump like maybe 5 feet towards the car to the other patch of grass. But me and my wife are like freaking idiots. And so as they move towards us, we're like, we jump back. Like, I don't know what we thought was going to happen. Like, whether they were all going to impale the side of the car with their beaks, just like, bing! But it was really funny. Like, it's just, a bunch of birds, like, kind of jump scared us. It was fantastic. We're morons. We were at a red light, that's why we were sitting there looking at the dirty birds. Man, this is a long ride, isn't it? You weren't even with me since the beginning. Who in their right mind would agree to a commute like this? I actually used to live like 10 minutes from work. When we had the daughter, when she started going to school, we made a lot of decisions, and we decided that she definitely wasn't going into public school. So we made a bunch of financial calculations and decided it would be much better to move to where we are than to stay in the city. And like, we'd be paying the same money. It was like size of the house, the location, schools, blah blah blah. It was, and we're very, very happy with the house we're in. Nice pool, big house. A lot of upkeep, a lot of freaking upkeep, and a crazy commute. But all in all, it was a good decision. Less than a minute to go. Why doesn't he just end it now? Why is he torturing us like this? Why won't he just end the video? Got a little over 30 seconds. Stick it out, guys. You can do it. I think if you want to end the video, or if you're still doing the drinking game, in order to end the video earlier and not be forced to watch the whole thing, you have to just pound the rest of your drink and just stop it. That being said, I am less than 10 seconds away from the end of the video, so have a wonderful day. You still have 4 seconds.